Good evening once again. This is Frederick Binomcha from Freddy Farm. I'm glad to host you here, and I'm also happy to share with you knowledge around goat farming. And we'll start with your question, which you asked about how to reduce mortality rate in goats, that is kids mortality rate, and how to avoid it. It's easy to prevent than treating. That is the summary of the answer to your question. So how do we prevent this? Number one, we have to consider management. How are these kids' infrastructure is raised, or is it on ground? Are you separating them from the mothers? Are their mothers having enough milk to sustain these kids? And also we have to look at treatment. If you look at treatment for kids, you start treating these kids before they are born. I mean, you vaccinate their mothers when they are like 4 months pregnant, such that these kids, they are born with a bit of immunity. As they feed on their mothers when they are still in the womb, they are able to pass on antigens to those kids. So when these kids are born, you have to rush and vaccinate them of the 3 dangerous diseases or contagious diseases. Number 1 being PPR, number 2 Clostridios, number 3 goat pox. Yes, we have CCPP and so on, but CCPP is not as much common as others. So if you vaccinate their mothers when they are still pregnant, then you have a chance of raising these kids, and then you have a chance also to vaccinate at your own pace. However, in the books of veterinary, they encourage to vaccinate kids or calves when they are around 3 months old, such that they can develop their own antibodies. But Clostridios will never wait for you to will never wait for those kids to reach 3 months. We've had mortalities around 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So to avoid those early mortality rates before even you think about vaccinating the kids, because you want all the kids to be born in the breeding season, maybe they are taking your breeding season is a duration of 3 to 5 weeks, which is more than a month actually. That means the ones which were born in the first week, they could have already been infected and they can die. So to avoid all this, you better get the kids get born with some immunity by vaccinating their mothers when they are really pregnant. So when they are born, maybe you can decide and do a trade-off. Is this goat, if it matures, is it worth vaccinating the vaccine? For example, goat's vaccine for PPR is just like less than 50k. So if it is less than 50k and your prolonged breeding season, some people don't synchronize. Maybe they get in 2 weeks they get around let's say 20 kids or 50 kids, depending on the population, on the stock you have. So does that mean that 20 kids, if they grow, they are not worth being vaccinated with a 50k vaccine? If they die because you are waiting entire flock to breed and finish, then you are losing. 50k is not that much. So you can decide to do patch. Every 2 weeks you vaccinate, or every 1 week during your breeding season you vaccinate. Tag them, use the tags, ear tags, to identify the ones you've already vaccinated. Or you can use even the paint on their backs. So the bottom line is we can stop mortality rates through vaccination, through good structures. Kids need a comfortable place which is well aerated, but which is not receiving too much cold air blowing inside. So if you wake up early in the morning and stand in your kid's pen and you hear a lot of cold air blowing you, you definitely see your kids shivering. So this is very dangerous. You need to consider. Mostly farmers, prominent breeders, they normally build a kid's pen in the middle of the big pen for goats. So what happens is the blowing air, cold air, stops somewhere before it reaches the middle or inner point of the big goat's pen. So the cold air will never reach the kids. So there you are safe. Secondly, or finally, I would say really look at those mothers and make sure that they are served when they are really mature enough. If you, let's say, if the nanny or the first time mothers are served at 8 months or 6 months anyway, because hybrids can get on heat even at 8 months. So they will have not developed enough. They will never have enough milk for their kids. So you need at least to separate or make sure you synchronize and make sure that these first mothers or first time mothers, they produce at least when they get served when they are 1 year old or 1 year and above, such that they are producing at around 1.5 years old, because the gestation for a goat is just 5 months or 5.5, depending on the breed. These kids, they also need to be confined in a dry place and until they reach around 2 months, or if they are born in dry season at 1 month, they are okay. You release them at around let's say 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. and you get them back into their pen when it has not yet gotten late evening, because the dew, when it gets on the grass, then and there is an infestation of worms, and worms is the dangerous killer or parasite to kids. So putting in question the worms or parasites, internal and external parasites, kids, like any other animal, you must spray them every week to fight against external parasites. Then deworm them every month to make sure that you fight against the internal parasites. The dewormers are very many. The choice is yours, but the bottom line is protect them from internal and external parasites. I think that's all. You need to do your own research in the area you are in. I'm giving you like the foundation of what it takes to raise those kids. Also, very important, I had forgotten, is about control inbreeding. No matter what you can do, vaccinate, do what, but as long as you don't control inbreeding, you let the father serve them. The daughter, the grandfather serves the granddaughter, also the sister is served by the brother. The poor quality or compromised gene that comes out, it will be very weak and it won't have enough immunity to fight on its own. So control inbreeding, do vaccination, and then also have good management on your farm. The structures matter a lot. There you have it. Thank you.